Hello chaps, another fishing video here, bass fishing, unusual conditions. I wouldn't usually attempt to fish in these kind of seas, but I was up that way digging bait for the weekend anyway, so I just chucked my rods in the car just to sort of give it a look first and to see whether I could sort of fish it or not. I have fished in these sort of conditions before. You need a completely different setup. You need a lot heavier gear, 8-ounce lead, whole bottom, stuff like that. Long heavy surf rod. It's not ideal, it's not the most comfortable sort of fishings, but the fish do feed in these conditions. So the time of tide was right, so we give it a go. We had some fresh lugworm and just went with one rod. Just easier in those sort of conditions, just to sort of, to manage one rod. And yeah, so the wind was probably, I don't know, gusting 29 knots, something like that. It's quite big seas. So you do need that heavier lead. You've got to whack it out as far as you can. We started with the running rig, which was a mistake. That got started getting tangled up straight away. So we opted to go for the fixed paternoster at the end, and that worked a lot better. I think we even had 2 hooks in it, or the 1 point, one at the bottom, one at the top, like on a panel, and it wasn't tangling. It's probably getting, with that heavy lead, probably still getting a good 100 yards, I would say. And this has mimicked a few trips I've done over the years where you turn up and you think there's no way you're going to be able to fish in it, fish will be in it or anything like that, but they're there. And we were only fishing a couple of hours, and we had a fish, and yeah, so it's not actually too bad out there. I did have some earplugs, little foam earplugs, 32 decibels, something like that. I whacked them in, so you don't get that buffering in your ear. And you got your waders on, you got some warm winter gear on as well. So it's quite cosy, really. And the rain wasn't there. The rain was very heavy rain in the morning. This is like in the evening, so we just waited until the rain eased off, and that came right with digging the bait and then sort of giving it a look. So there's a few things which sort of worked in our favour there. No one else about fishing. There wasn't actually much weed. You'd think there'd be tons of weed in this, but in a few days' time, this area of the coast, this is the Shingle beach. This is North Norfolk, and you'll get a lot of weed there in the tides over the next few days. So unfortunately for people who are planning on sort of doing a lot of fishing around this part of the coast, they're going to get hammered. And I've turned up years ago and just got caught up in it, and you just literally you get a load of bait, you spend a lot of money on a load of bait, and within half an hour you realise you just can't fish it. It's just as simple as that. It's just the whole line's just caked with weed. There is some anglers who've developed some techniques to how to cope with that, but it's still very unpleasant having to pull it all off and stuff like that. It involves having a trace well away from your lead and your main line, maybe 6 or 7 foot long. You can try something like that, but you're better off going in one of the rivers, or if you can find a bay or a stretch of the coast where it doesn't get so much affected by weed, you could try that. That's something I'll be doing in the next few days. I've got 1 or 2 venues I'll go to where you don't get plagued by so much weed. So yeah, I hope you like the jazz music. Obviously the wind in the mic was affecting things quite a lot, so I've had to scale all that back. And yeah, as you can see, the waves out there, that's quite extreme. I wouldn't attempt doing this at night. It'd still be fairly safe. I do know the beach quite well, and this is about as much as you can go in really and actually do it. I'd say you're right on the extent of your gear and what you can actually do, and but like you say, a small lead just wouldn't cut it. You're going to have to sort of 8-ounce minimum, I would say, and a rod which can cast that. Obviously I've got the magnetic brakes on the multiplier there, had them whacked on full. otherwise you're just going to get overrun when you're whacking it into that. And so the tide is ebbing here. So this is about an hour before low. So the tide is going from left to right. No, sorry, so it's going right to left, and that sort of works pretty good for the bass. That low tide sort of area. Got the lugworm on there. Need a very sort of quite a lot on. Needs to be quite scenty, and you could experiment with some very light leads just above the hook and the bait. I'm talking like 3 or 4 gram, maybe sort of, yeah, something along like that, just to help it just to sort of sit tight to the bottom. But it wasn't too bad, because I think I was getting a fair bit of distance. It was still quite deep out there. Although it was getting swashed around, it wasn't getting tangled, and it was working. If I was fishing like 20 yards, I'd say you're just wasting your time there. But those back breakers there is where I was getting, and we had a bass. Nice little fella. Could have quite easily had a really good one in there. No question about that. With regards to sort of playing a fish in those sort of seas, it's you think, oh, there's no way I'd snap my gear or bend my hooks. These are fine wire hooks. And that's only a small fish anyway. But if you had a good one on, there'd be no need to panic. It's just because the fish he sort of kites in it, and you just got to sort of take your time really, and you just be able to beach it in one of those ones. Just you'd have to keep your line tight. That's all you'd have to do. So yeah, this is quite a good beach. There's a lot of bass showing there at the minute, and south of here as well. There's some other beaches which are doing quite well. But you need the conditions. You don't want the weed to be there. I suggest you've got to have lugworm bait as a minimum. Ragworm's good. Peeler crab would be good, but I wouldn't necessarily mess around with peeler crab in these conditions. I would say primarily focus just on your lugworm when it's like that. So this trip was a sort of a bit of a chancy sort of trip, a shot in the dark, worth a look. There was one fish there. Would I opt to sort of do it all the time? I was up that way anyway, digging bait, so it didn't really make any difference to me. But I wouldn't choose to fish in these conditions. There's a lot better conditions, obviously. You can go in, but they will feed in it. So don't let that sort of put you off. Another option would be to go to a pier when it's like this, a sheltered side of a pier, and just lob it out so you've got a lot more distance. That would work. That would work good as well. I'm sure there would have been some people on the pier at this moment in time, not far from where I go. But you do get a lot of people all doing the same thing like that, so that's okay. So yeah, just the one rod spike there, nice and sort of easy to sort of carry and not too much gear. So if this trip hadn't gone that well at all, or aborted after about 20 minutes, there wasn't a lot of gear to carry back to the car or get in position and rig up and stuff like that. So it's just a sort of a look-see sort of trip. And it was actually quite enjoyable. I do quite enjoy it when it's like this. I wouldn't do it at night, I don't think. It's I like to sort of see the waves, or you would want to sort of see it for an hour before it got dark, just to really sort of see what the sort of surge is doing. You don't want to sort of get caught up in anything. But that's perfectly safe. And there's a bit of foam on the beach there. You got to see a bit of sun as well, which was nice as the sun was going down. And the rod sort of buffering away there, but I did actually, you'd think you wouldn't, with those swells on your line, you'd think, oh, there's no way I'd be able to see the bite or anything like that, but that was quite a small bass, and the rod tip was dancing away with it, and I could see it quite clearly in the, different from the, the wave sort of banging on the line and moving the rod, so you can still see your bites. Bass bites are quite easy to see, really. So yeah, I mean, it was it was enjoyable being out there. But we got the majority of the bait for the weekend. I think Sunday looks good. Sunday's got some high pressure as well. I think high pressure's a good thing for your fishing. The weed on this stretch of the coast is going to be a pain. So it's just finding somewhere where you can get and just be effective with it, really. So yeah, I mean the rain is not with just a bit of sort of misty sort of few specks of rain, nothing major at all. If I hammered it down earlier on in the day, but it was. You do need all your gear on there. Did get a little bit towards the end. I probably was on the beach for, I'd say, maybe 3 hours. Towards the end, I mean, I've been bait digging as well all afternoon. Just started getting a little bit shivery right at the end, but that's probably because the light started to go and it was getting a bit colder. But I've got plenty of warm clothing on there. But that's probably about my limits for doing this kind of fishing. I couldn't be doing much more. I'd say that's about a force 7. That's getting a near gale, I would say. But there's fish in there. You'd be surprised. There's fish in there, but you'd have to have fresh lugworm, or good lugworm, to pick them out. And so there's a few people on the beach. No seals. Seals are up the other end, sitting on the bank. And yeah, it's quite an enjoyable day, really. So I hope you enjoyed watching the video, guys. Please subscribe. More videos along the way. I hope you like the music. And like I say, just even if the conditions are not quite right, get yourself out there. You never know. That might be your day to get a good one. Alright, I'll see you later, guys. Thanks for watching.